This is the story of how I went from working a full-time job in IT to being signed to big record labels like these, playing shows in Amsterdam and London, to running a successful YouTube channel and sample pack business. Okay, so it all started in 2015. I was still working a job in IT when I discovered music production. I downloaded FL Studio and made my first song. I loved the feeling of making music so much. It just felt so great to me that I made a very conscious decision, and that decision was that I wanted to become a full-time music producer within 5 years. In 2016, I decided I was going to give music production everything I had. So I made a very conscious decision to give up all other hobbies, including the thing I loved doing most outside of work, which was playing video games. And the pact that I made with myself was that I was not going to open another video game until I was making a decent income from music. In 2017, the desire for me to move from IT into music production grew so strong that I started to come up with all these sorts of business ideas, ways that I could start making that transition to earning money from music and then hopefully eventually quitting my job. The very first idea that I had was an idea called the Feedback Network, and that was for us to build a sort of social network for music producers to post their music onto this platform, and other producers could give them feedback, and in exchange they would give feedback. It was a really well thought out idea with a whole entire credit system, and I even paid a developer thousands of pounds to start designing the front end of the website. I worked with a close friend of mine who started coding the back end, but unfortunately that idea kind of fizzled out. It just dragged on, and nothing really happened with that. And so I kind of lost all of that time and that money. The second idea I had was to make an Instagram account and kind of grow that and then sell advertising on the Instagram account. Here's a screenshot of the account. It's still alive but not active, and you can see the posts all the way back to 2017. I worked really hard on this in all my lunch breaks at work, and basically just try to grow it by posting tips initially and then posting videos of other people doing cool things with music production, and then photos of studios and stuff. But I never quite grew it big enough to a point where I could actually start using it for advertising and making money off of it. In 2018, I decided to start another business idea, and this one was called Dollar Packs. Dollar Packs was a website that I made, which was going to be just selling basically $1 sample packs. And while the idea kind of worked, it really sort of devalued the industry, for one, which was a problem. And while the idea seems great, who wouldn't turn down a $1 sample pack? It just really wasn't viable from a business perspective. There's almost no profit, especially, in a $1 transaction. The fees alone basically eat up any profit you would make. So that failed, and I shut that down. In 2018, I also bought a house down in Bournemouth, and the plan was to move down to Bournemouth and continue working remotely for the company, the IT company, and then eventually, hopefully, transition into music. Something unexpected happened in 2018, though. After the sale of that IT company I was working for, they made a huge portion of the staff redundant, and I happened to be one of them, right after I had bought a house. It kind of worked in my favor, though, because I got a severance package, and I used that plus my savings to make the decision that I was going to try and move full-time into music throughout 2018 and just use all of that time off to just work and grind at it until I had a business or something that I could live off of. And right after I lost my job, one of the first things I did was start Basic Waves. Basic Waves is now my sample pack company, but initially it started out as an idea to make apparel for producers. I made some really cool t-shirt designs. I'll fish up some images of them, and I started selling those by posting links to it on Reddit and advertising it through Facebook ads. Initially it did really well for a few days, and then for some reason the ads just kind of stopped working and I wasn't making really any money off of it. I was just getting sales trickling in, like maybe 1 or 2 sales a day, sometimes only 1 a week. It basically just wasn't enough to live on, especially because the profit on a t-shirt was only a few dollars. However, I did just leave that running in the background. There was no reason for me to take it down. There was nothing to do from my end, as it was a print-on-demand service. And so yeah, I just left it up. The other idea I had was to start making sample packs, but not selling them on my own. I wanted to sell them through an established sample pack label. So I looked up Loop Masters, and they sent me a list of requirements for a sample pack. and it was a pretty huge list of requirements. So I set off and started making my very first sample pack. I finished the sample pack, which took me about a month, and submitted it to them. And unfortunately, they said that they couldn't release it anytime soon. It would be like 6 months or something, and I needed money immediately. So I took the sample pack back and submitted it to a few other companies, one of them being Black Octopus. Black Octopus loved the sample pack and they accepted it, and I went with an offer which was a 50-50 split on the sample pack. After my first month of sales, I only received about $50 worth of sales, and this was a pretty crushing moment for me, discovering that my hopes of making thousands from the sample pack business were now dead, and it didn't work. We are now midway through 2018 and I was starting to run out of savings. So I kind of panicked a bit and went back to the thing I knew would work quite well, and that was IT business. But I didn't want to go back into full-time employment, so I decided to launch my own little repair business, and the plan was to repair computers and phones and other technology directly from my studio, this little shed that I'm in now. So I launched a website, made some ads on Google, and started getting a bunch of calls and bookings, and it was great. I was busy about half the day repairing computers and phones from my shed, and spending the other half just grinding away at music and trying to grow that side of things. Until something happened that destroyed everything for me. Google Ads implemented a policy that doesn't allow third-party repair services to advertise with them. So they took down all my ads, and that was where all my business was coming from. So suddenly I went from making enough money to survive to making pretty much nothing. I kept the website going and kind of pushed more towards the SEO kind of things and posting ads in online directories and stuff like that, and managed to get enough business to kind of just cover my mortgage payments, but nothing extra for other bills or anything else. In 2019, it got even worse. I still wasn't making that much from my repair business, not even enough to cover all my bills. And so I was just getting more and more into debt, using credit cards and loans to pay all my bills, really putting myself and my family under a lot of stress. So I decided it was time for me to throw in the towel and look for a full-time job. So I reluctantly started going for interviews and eventually got a job offer. After accepting that job offer, I returned home, walked into my studio, looked around at everything I had built, and basically just had a meltdown. I decided that I had gone so far that giving everything up now would probably mean the end of all my dreams, and I would probably be stuck in a 9-to-5 for the rest of my life. So against the will of my family and the advice of all my friends, I decided to turn down the job offer. And I decided to just keep on fixing computers, getting into debt, and making sample packs and working on music. I kept working on sample packs, and Black Octopus were kind enough to be buying the sample packs on a buyout basis from me, so I was earning quite a decent chunk of money from each sample pack. But as I was focused on so many things at once, I could only really finish about 1 or 2 sample packs every 3 months, so it just wasn't enough money to keep me going. This is a good time to talk about my YouTube channel. I had a YouTube channel running since 2015, but I didn't really upload frequently to it. I probably uploaded about 3 or 4 videos a year, and these videos were just videos of me recording myself producing songs from start to finish and uploading them to YouTube. A few of them got a few thousand views, but nothing ever really came from it, and I didn't know how to monetize it or what to do with it. But I decided in 2020 to start uploading more videos to it. This was the turning point for me. In March, I uploaded this video, which takes off and starts getting thousands of views in a matter of days. And all of a sudden, I've got so many people commenting on this video and DMing me on Instagram and talking to me. I even had a guy DM me and tell me that I should open up a Patreon and that he would sign up to it and support me so that I can keep doing what I'm doing. I kind of thought it was an okay idea. I didn't think anything really would come of it, but I decided to start the Patreon anyway. And within the first month, I think I had around $900 worth of signups. So this was a huge success for me, and probably the single biggest turning point in my entire career up until now. Suddenly, I had enough money to cover all my bills and a little bit left over. I still kept the computer repair business going, as I was getting around half of my money from that and half of my money from Patreon. I also had some more work coming in from Black Octopus, who got me to start making some YouTube tutorials for them, as well as some other sound design work. In May, I get this email from Production Music Live. I'm super excited about it, but I try and act cool. I have a phone call with them and they say they want to work with me. They tell me they really like my music and my teaching style, and that we should make a course together. Courses is something that I'd never considered before. I didn't consider myself a teacher, so I was quite surprised by it, but I still agreed to do it, and we launched our first course. We made a whole bunch of sales, and I was really impressed by this, so we decided to do some more courses. At this point, I've got a few streams of income. I've got the repair business, I've got the sample packs, I've got Patreon, and now I've got this money coming in from the courses. I'm now living pretty comfortably off the music income, so I make the decision to close the repair business. This was the greatest feeling ever. I was now making music and making money from music full time. 2020 was also the year I made the song Cascade with my friend Mackie. We loved the song, but we had no idea what was about to happen. We decided to take a chance and send it to Lane 8 to try and get it signed to This Never Happened. Lane 8 responds that he likes the song, but it's not quite there for This Never Happened, but that it might be something that he would put in one of his mixtapes. We took that as a big no and didn't think anything would happen with that. On the 30th of June, Mackie DMs me this message. I was over the moon. I couldn't believe it. I had been sending music to record labels for years and to other artists for years, and nobody had ever really recognized my music as being good enough, let alone Lane 8 putting my music into his summer mixtape. I can't express how excited I was. Following the Lane 8 mixtape, we decided to send this track out to a bunch of record labels, saying that Lane 8 had played it in his summer mixtape. Silk responds saying that they love the track and they want to sign it. This is what I would consider my first proper signing to a proper record label. The release goes well and I start focusing more on writing my own originals. I send a bunch of music to Enhanced and I get a response from Colorize saying that they love Parabola and they want to sign it. Another great victory. In 2021 I started releasing more consistently while constantly uploading to YouTube. I'm writing songs every week, recording myself, putting them onto YouTube, and then finishing the songs behind the scenes and sending them out to labels and releasing them. 2021, I signed tracks to Silk, Sakura, Colorize, Euphonic, Enormous Tunes, and I land my first big editorial with the song Wait For You, which gets placed on Deep House Relax. The song has remained on that playlist ever since and is now at 1.5 million streams. 2022 rolls around and I sign a track called All I Need to Monster Cat Silk. And reach out with the exciting news that All I Need is going to be placed in the popular game Rocket League. This is insane. I'm going to have my music in one of the biggest competitive video games in the world, along with my logo, which people can use to customize their cars. This was another huge victory and is something that will always stand out as one of my proudest moments in my career. The YouTube channel was still growing and still seeing consistent growth, and I was still working on the sample packs and making courses. I even started sending sample packs out to PML and working with them on a more consistent basis, making tutorials for their channels, which I was getting paid an upfront fee for, and my income just kept growing and growing. I continued to release pretty consistently through 2022, signing to all my previous labels and some new ones, including Summersville and UV. And then something huge happened. Sakura messaged me and asked me to perform at one of their events at ADE. I couldn't believe that I was going to be flying to another country to play a gig for a record label. Amsterdam and ADE was amazing. I got to meet so many people that I was working with, from record labels to fellow producers and even some of my heroes. One of the highlights was going to an artist lunch with Monster Cat Silk and sitting down and having lunch with artists like BT, Vintage and Morelli, Prof, Shingo Nakamura, Wasu, and many more. I also got to meet label owners like Jacob Henry of Monster Cat Silk, having meetings with A&Rs of Colorize, obviously playing with all the Sakura guys and meeting them, and going around and seeing all the amazing shows and events at ADE. It was also the first time in my life I had people regularly walking up to me and saying, "Hey, you're Bound to Divide. I watch your stuff on YouTube and listen to your music." I wouldn't say I'm famous by any means, but I definitely felt a bit like a celebrity. After ADE, I also got booked to play my first headline event in London. Loads of people from my community came down to meet me for pre-show dinner. We sat around, drank some beers, ate some burgers, and got to know each other. The show went smoothly, the venue was packed, and everybody had a great time. In 2022, I also started pushing my own sample packs through Basic Waves, the old t-shirt company, and this new stream of income started doing really well. In fact, it started doing so well, I had artists like Gorgon City reaching out to me on Instagram to tell me how much they love my sounds. Basic Waves continued to grow throughout 2022, and at the end of 2022, I hit my first 2 consecutive months of over $10,000 in sales. Going from fixing computers and living off credit cards and loans to playing shows around the world, getting my music placed in video games, running a successful YouTube channel and sound design company, and getting my music signed to all the labels I love is just incredible. 2022 was mind-blowing, and I can't wait to see what happens in 2023. So far in 2023, I've been writing a song every day on live stream throughout January. We're doing 20 tracks in 20 days, with the goal of making a 6 to 8 track album out of the best songs. This year, I plan to focus a lot more on YouTube. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos and growing that. I'm also going to be growing the sample pack business and Basic Waves as a whole. On the music front, I've already got some songs lined up for release, and I've got a show booked for May. I can't give any details on that yet, but as soon as I can, you guys will be the first to know. That's my story. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around.